There's a new generation of XC bikes out right now, and most will tell you it's because World Cup courses are more technical than ever. As a brand, Salsa could probably care less about what World Cup courses look like, and for the vast majority of us, do we honestly care? Personally, I love watching World Cup XC, but I'm not going to choose a bike based on what courses the top 1% of athletes in our sport ride. There's no denying a trickle-down effect of athlete feedback and engineer development, but really in any category except downhill, a bike should be reasonably fun on both climbs and descents. For that matter, Salsa seems to have nailed it with its new lineup, especially with the Spearfish. For a quick briefing on the numbers of the Spearfish, it starts with 100mm of rear travel and a 120mm fork, 29-inch wheels that range from 2.2 inches to 2.6 inches. It's compatible with 27.5-inch wheels from 2.8 inches of width to 3 inches. It's got a carbon front triangle and an aluminum rear, split pivot rear suspension, 74.3 degree seat angle, 67.8 degree head angle. Pricing starts at $2,400 for an aluminum frame with a Diore build from Shimano. I tested the carbon version with a GX Eagle drivetrain. On a size medium, it weighed in just under 28 pounds. Salsa redesigned the Spearfish for 2019 with some major changes along with the Horse Thief and the Wrestler. The split pivot platform was updated and tuned with a new leverage rate. It's now got a flip chip and a metric shock standard. Kinematics and anti-squat were revised, improved, and optimized around a 32-tooth chain ring. That means that it won't accept anything larger than a 32-tooth, and oval rings can't be greater than a 30-tooth. Salsa claims that with the 32-tooth ring, there's a more efficient pedaling platform without having to overdamp the rear shock. The leverage rate is more progressive than the previous Spearfish with better bottom-out resistance, but the rest of the leverage rate is similar as far as small bump compliance and mid-stroke support. The Spearfish also now gets a Super Boost 157mm rear axle, something you're probably not going to see on a lot of other short travel mountain bikes. Mounting accessories is always paramount with Salsa. So inside the frame you can fit 2 full-size water bottles, and there's a mount up on the top tube as well. Well, let's get straight into the trail report. At 5'8", I was on the fence between a small and a medium. With the small's reach at 423mm though, it made sense for me to size up to a medium with 442mm of reach. Nice and roomy. It didn't take too long for me to get comfortable though. I set the sag at a recommended 30% and pedaled out. The anti-squat of the Spearfish's suspension is nice and tight. In pedal mode, on the RockShox Deluxe RT3, it keeps you right around that 30% sag mark. The suspension softens up a little bit with the shock open, but there isn't too much of a penalty with it flicked to the left. I'm pretty uptight about keeping my bikes in pedal mode for more damp suspension on the climbs, but for those who want to forget about switching levers, not to worry, it feels very solid with the lever in open mode. Traction is the name of the game with split pivot, and the tires felt like Velcro climbing up loose and bumpy terrain. What really sold me on the split pivot suspension is the bike's ability to carve any corner like a NASCAR driver with all-terrain tires on a rubber track. The benefit of the split pivot platform is a concentric rear axle pivot that separates braking forces from the rear suspension. So even if you're on the brakes in a bumpy corner, the wheel doesn't lock up, it sticks to the ground. Cornering is part of the reason why the Spearfish is just so much fun to descend on. When an onlooking rider asks if your handlebars touch the grass around a swooping corner, it makes you feel pretty dang good about yourself. And the Spearfish's eagerness to go airborne like a fish out of water has changed any leftover preconception that 29ers don't jump well. With solid mid-stroke support, it ramps up nicely to pop off of rocks and jumps. The RockShox SID stanchions are only 32mm in diameter, and the Spearfish can still charge through rock gardens without too much flex, but it makes me wonder what would be possible with a 120mm pike on the front end to add a little bit more stiffness. Looking at the component selection of the Spearfish, there were a few interesting things to note. Up top, the contact points start with a very wide set of Salsa OEM 800mm handlebars and a stout 50mm stem. I swapped those out for something more narrow pretty quickly, and that made it feel quite a bit better. The flip chip on the new Spearfish only offers a 0.2 degree change. The bike came in the low position, and I left it there since it didn't seem necessary to try the high position. I didn't have any pedal strikes, and the seat angle was plenty steep. This also says that it can be changed for rider preference, bottom bracket position, or to accommodate a 27.5-inch wheel change. As I noted earlier, the interesting thing about the Spearfish and Salsas in general is that the build could stop where a lot of other brands start. The $5,200 build I tested has a SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain, guide-R brakes, Salsa OEM cockpit, and WTB wheels. It's their top-level build, and although the components would be considered entry-level in a lot of other brands, they worked out great. At $5,600, the race build of the full carbon pivot Mach 4 SL that I tested last month gets a few nicer touches like a SRAM X01 derailleur and a Fox Stepcast 34 fork, but it costs $400 more than the Salsa. A GX spec Yeti SB100 has a full carbon frame also and a Fox 34 performance stepcast, but otherwise a pretty similar build for $5,000. The Yeti also weighs a half pound more according to the SB100's listed weight. Probably buyers have already made a decision on the Yeti or Salsa though, based on branding and image between the two. For the Spearfish, the value is definitely there, and the price falls in line with how other brands price their GX level builds. Salsa is going to attract a different type of buyer than Yeti or Pivot, and the functionality of the frame with plenty of mounts for water or bags or anything appeals to the more adventurous than the racy. Bikes like the Spearfish lead the new generation of cross-country. It's an outstanding climber with traction for days and feels way more capable than an XC bike should feel going down. Most importantly, it's more fun than I thought a 100mm travel 29er could be, and for me it's flipped what the category is supposed to mean on its head. That's it for the video review. If you want to read more about the Salsa Spearfish and see photos, check out the review on singletracks.com. Visit singletracks.com for daily mountain bike news, information, tutorials, and much, much more. If you liked the video review, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have fun out there, and we will see you on the trails.